get started with Google Classroom here right away. It's a pretty simple tool, and there are some straightforward things, but it's really powerful on the back end for pushing out and getting documents from students, as well as a handful of other things. But that's really its meat and its potatoes when it comes to serving up the right thing. I'm going to go to classroom.google.com up here. Actually, I'm there already if you want to guide your browser to the same place. Classroom.google.com. Log in with your Google account. You have to have an educator account or be logged into your educator account in order to even get in, or your school account if you're a student. When you join, you tell it a teacher. If you're a teacher, you tell it you're a student if you're a student, and then you will create your first class by clicking on the plus button up here in the top right corner. Unless someone has already invited you to join or be a co-teacher in their class, then you might have a couple of classes like I do in your dashboard. But if you don't, you would hit the plus button right here, and you'd hit create class. If you're a student, you only have join class option, and that'll make more sense here in just a second. But if you create a class like so, it's going to prompt you to give it a name and a section. I did that already, and I have a GPS test class right here. I'm going to go into that class, just like you can once you're done. And you'll see I have a whole bunch of teachers in here. It's just going to be yourself more than likely. But everyone should have the same things, which is stream, students, and about. We're going to start from the back and move forward. I'm going to go to the about page. On the about page right here, you have your class materials that you can put in here. And this is where you can invite other teachers as well. So if I go down here at the bottom, I can invite other teachers to collaborate or to co-teach this class with me. About is the section where you're going to put things like a syllabus, classroom rules, any static information that you want students to have ongoing. If it's a hyperlink or link to a website that you have them frequently go to, or if it's a good resource for research or something like that, you would certainly consider including it on the About Materials page. This is not something you're going to update daily or even weekly most of the time. It's a static page where you can just give basic information, contact information, and the like. Now we're going to go to students. Students is pretty self-explanatory as well. You should have no students in your class when you first create it, but you should have a class code over here for students to join your class if you would like them to join that way. When students first land inside of Google Classroom, I'm going to show you what it looks like. They go here, and this is what it looks like, only they won't have a class at all. So they'll have to hit the plus button, and they can say, join a class by entering the code. And that's the same code as what you're looking at right here. So if I type in this code into my Google Classroom right here as a student to join it, it will allow me to join that class. An alternate option to adding students would be to simply invite them with the giant blue button right here. If I click invite, I can search through my domain set of directories, or I can go ahead and type in the name of a user over here and just see what comes up. So I have a student, and I can take that student and I can add them by clicking on their name over here on the side and invite those students. In this case, I'm going to hit cancel because I already have the students I want, which are Neville and Pabst Blue Ribbon. Then from here, you only have the option to mail them or get rid of them by clicking on them, and then going to actions, you can remove them or mute them from the conversation list if they're misbehaving, as it were. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. This is your students right here, your student list. It's pretty simple. Like I said, you can either give them the class code or you can invite them directly. Those are the two main ways of inviting students or having students join your class. Let's get to the stream, which is where most of the things happen. When you go to stream, on this side you have two major options in stream. This is how you're going to stream information to your students or coworkers. So I have announcements right here. That's pretty straightforward. I can share an announcement like picnic or staff picnic. There we go. And I can put an attachment because maybe I want to put a schedule or the list of items to bring to the picnic. Maybe it's a map that I want to map to so people can find the park where we're having a picnic. Maybe it's a Google Doc where I have a shared document and I want everyone to be able to chime in on what they're bringing for the picnic pleasures. Then I have the ability to put a video in there or just put a hyperlink to a website if I want to. I can, at this point, change or share or decide which of my classes I'm going to share this staff picnic with. I'm going to share it with all three of the classes that I'm the owner and educator of. And when I post it, it's going to post it to all of those classes. Pause for 1 second though, because I don't have to post it this very instant. I could delete it also, but I can say, you know what, I want to save this draft for later and see if I'm ready to send it tomorrow. And now you can see I have 3 drafts saved inside of my classroom here. I'm going to open that drafts section up and say, I have staff picnic, here's your number, and check-in update. I'm actually ready to release the check-in update, so I click on it, and I can put in a little extra blurb in here if I want to, just add on to what I was saying before, day 2, and post it to those students. I click post to make sure that I'm serious about it, and now I have posted that announcement. Let's take a look at what it looks like for the student side. Cancel out of here, go into my class. You can see for PAPS here, it's very, very similar to the way it looks for teachers. I have about, classmates, and stream. There's that announcement that I just made just a few seconds ago, check-in update. And I can click on that, or I can add comments back to it. But I can check out my classmates, see the other classmates in here. I can send them messages if I need to. I can also sort by first or last name. The About page is the About page that I created as a teacher. Students are not able to modify or change that. In the stream, I can go back here. I can also share with my classmates other posts that I want to put in there. That's where that muting comes in. You can mute a student and say you are no longer allowed to share things. We can also go into the settings and say students aren't allowed to post at all in general. We'll get back to that here in just a second, but first let's go back to the teacher and see what it looks like. To now, back here, I'm going to create an assignment instead of an announcement like we just did. Assignments look very much like announcements, only now I have a due date, and I'm going to have a few other special options going forward. I'm going to say, let's do a science worksheet here. And I could give it a description if I want to. No need right now. I'll add a time and say that it's due by 11:55 p.m. Also not necessary, but it's an option. You could change the date if you'd like. But I'm going to go ahead and add a Google Drive document here because I have a worksheet for them to do. And it's a view-only Google document. It's mine personally. But you'll notice as soon as I add it to Google Drive, not only do I have a preview and a link to it, but I get to change or decide how students are going to be able to interact with that document. I want to give it to them not just as view only. I actually want to make a copy for every single student and put it both inside their Google Classroom and magically put it inside of Google Drive for them. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a few seconds. But I have this. I don't think that's quite enough. I want to put in a video for science from YouTube in here, or I could grab a URL if I need to. And because, as we know, all things from YouTube are completely trustworthy and don't need to be viewed before you give them to students, I'm just going to go ahead and add it point blank. And here we are. I have my assignment. I want to not save it as a draft because we've already seen how to do that. This time I'm going to go ahead and post or assign it instantly to the students. And now we're going to jump over and see what it looks like for a student and then come back and see what it looks like for the educator. If I scroll over here to the student side and refresh my page, you should see that assignment show up. There it is, science worksheet. I can watch the video, but also here's the worksheet that I provided them from Google Docs and put inside of his folder and inside of his classroom with his name on it. And you're going to notice that it has a bunch of options already. I, as a student now, can add files back, so before I submit it, maybe I've got some extra notes or a video I created or some links to things that I'm supposed to provide in order to fulfill the duties of the assessment here. Or I can even go and create a presentation based on maybe this rubric that I provided the students, and it will all link together and lump together with this one assignment. When I'm completely done though, I can turn it in, but this is a document that I'm supposed to work on, and there's a description down here that says fill in this worksheet and then turn it back in, so I need to fill it in. I'm going to go ahead and open this document so you can see what it looks like, but you can already get a preview here. It says Google Drive Search Operators, PAPS Blue Ribbon, because it assigned this to PAPS and put his name on it for him and made a copy for him. I didn't have to do anything. It did all of those things for me. So when I open this up, I have Google Drive Search Operators in here, and I can edit this and work on this just like I could in regular Google Docs, but there's a magical little button up here now that says Turn In because I'm working through Google Classroom essentially. And when I hit Turn In after I've done my editing, I've changed the font sizes, I filled in the areas that I need to, I hit Turn It In, it will do the same exact thing as if I hit Turn In right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and say I'm done with this, teacher. I think I did a great job. Go ahead and check it out. Turn In. And now I'm done. It says I'm done. I can unsubmit it and continue to work on it and then submit it again later. And there are the instructions for the document if I added any instructions. When I come back as a teacher, now I can see one of my 3 students here is done. It happens to be Pabst. And if I go in here and click on done, I can see Pabst is indeed done. Status, I can give him a grade, decide how many points it's worth. Only worth 20 points, I suppose. Update this, and I'm going to say give him a grade of 20 out of 20 because it was great. And now I can give him extra notes in here, and I can say, you did a great job, you were right. Post it back to him so he can see those grades and see the comments. And now I'm going to return his work to him so that he can see exactly what he got as a grade. I can also email him or download this document if I want to, or even move it to a new folder if I so desire. Which brings me to my next point. Let's go ahead and take a look at where did this go inside of Google Drive, because I keep talking about how it magically syncs up with Google Drive, so let's just take a look at what I'm talking about here. I'm here with Pabst now again, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Google Drive. And inside of Google Drive, Pabst has automatically had a folder named Classroom, in other words, Google Classroom, created for him. The instant he joined Google Classroom, it created a folder for him. And inside of the folder, we should find that course that he joined. Any course that he joins, it will make a brand new folder for him with the name of that course inside of Google Drive for him automatically. And if I go into that course, you'll see the assignment that I gave to him, the worksheet, with his name on it, mind you, is automatically in Google Drive for him. And as he made those changes, and even before he turned it in, it made those updates in his Google Drive, and it keeps all of his assignments as a running list for him inside of his classroom. So no matter what, he can always go back to that class and see what assignments he's done for that class and how he's handled those assignments. Now that we've taken a look at the student side, let's take a look at the Google Drive educator side and see how it organizes that. On the educator side, you can see that I also have a classroom folder. Now I've colored mine red just so I can find it more easily. But once I go into my classroom folder, you can see I have all of these courses or fake courses that I've ever created. Some of them are not too terribly intelligible, but I'm going to go into my GPS Ed test class, which is where I've been making those test courses and test classes. These are all of the assignments that I have ever created for my students. Every time I make an assignment, it creates a folder for me and puts inside the folder all of the students' documents that they've worked on. So there'd be a list of all the documents that the students have ever worked on with their hyphenated name after it. So I don't have to remind them to put their names on anything. It's already done it for me. When they turn it in, it automatically goes into my completed folder, and now I can make sure that I check off on and have all the documents that I need, either here in Google Drive or back here in Google Classroom. Either way is completely fine. That's the nuts and bolts of Google Classroom. But there are many, many more options that you can kind of work through and creative ways that you can mess around with Google Classroom or get it to work for you in the way that you want, whether it's classroom discussions or journaling. Anything in those areas can certainly be taken care of using Google Classroom. It's a good conduit to kind of filter all the content that you want to deliver to students through one single stream through Google Classroom.